Hey guys, PIEGUYRULZ here, and welcome back to the bottom of the bakery, where I am still inside the oven with this abomination of a cake, and things are really heating up. iDate Sam and Freddie is one of those episodes that is so bad and has so many things wrong with it that I'm going to do a scene-by-scene breakdown. So, fresh off the heels of I Lost My Mind, Freddie and Sam are officially a couple now. We finally get to see what that actually looks like. Before that though, we open up with a scene where Spencer brags about his fresh lawn that he installed in the living room, and he and Gibby have some banter about being lawn nerds. It's the kind of randomness that works well on the show. Then Spencer and Carly go back and forth making exaggerated kissing faces and sounds to mock Sam and Freddie's new relationship. Okay, so the episode is off to a good start. And then Freddie and Sam walk into the room. So, how does the show decide to introduce them as a couple to us? Do they do a cute scene showing them getting along? Maybe some playful banter between the two? Ha! Nope. For some ungodly reason, the very first time we are treated to these two characters as an official couple, they are arguing. Not even a minute into seeing their relationship, and I already hate it with a passion. Yeah. The premise of this episode is that Sam and Freddie are an awful couple and need to rely on Carly to break up their constant fighting. Yes. Really. We don't get a single episode of them as an actual happy couple. How do you do that? How do you fail so hard as to not even give the characters a honeymoon period in the relationship? Even if it was just a few minutes in this episode of them existing peacefully without Carly's help, that would be something. But nope, misery straight out the gate. So, what are they arguing about? Well, Freddie was upset that he got a B on a paper he thought he should have gotten an A on. So Sam filled his teacher's car with B's. As you do. If you're Sam Puckett, I guess. Carly's solution to this is that Sam was wrong for violating Freddie's teacher with B's. Those are Carly's words, not mine. But also that Freddie was wrong for not appreciating that Sam did this? Okay, this episode is rife with false balance fallacy. Both Freddie and Sam are not equally wrong in this situation. Sam did something horrible in Freddie's name that could potentially get him in huge trouble. Why should Freddie feel appreciative? If anything, acting like this was a sweet gesture is just enabling Sam to do more stuff like this. This is just so stupid, and we're not even 3 minutes into this episode. After both apologizing to each other, they kiss. Remember my theory about how the writers think relationships are literally just fighting and kissing? Yeah, I wasn't exaggerating. So after a scene of Gibby and Carly being awkward hanging out alone, we cut to Sam and Freddie at the smoothie joint. Freddie wants to know when Sam started liking him. So finally, we're gonna actually get a reason, right? Well, not quite. Sam says that it was when Freddie got into a horrible bike accident, resulting in hearing loss. All she says is that he looked cute on the pavement. That's all we get. Something pretty awful that didn't even happen in the show, leading Sam to think he looked cute. That's seriously what this relationship is built on? And why does Freddie like Sam? Ha! Silly you for wondering such important things to the story. You don't get to find that out until they are literally about to break up in 2 episodes from now. Spoilers. It's worth noting that at no point in this nightmarish story arc do the characters mention the kiss in I Kiss. You know, like one of the very, very few actual romantic scenes between the characters before this stupid arc starts. Something that could have been used as the catalyst for this relationship, but nah, the show just completely ignores it. Anyway, Sam putting B's in a man's car because of a B grade, and her crushing on a guy because he got horrifically injured are both kind of funny in a dark way, but only out of context. Seeing such comedically extreme things being presented while we are supposed to be rooting for this couple and at least somewhat engaged in the story of them is just horrible. It cheapens the whole thing when it tries to present Sam's actions as not that bad. If taken at face value, Sam's little story about finding Freddie being horrifically injured as cute should be a sign that he should run the other way very, very fast, and yet he views it like it's this cute thing. So, while at the smoothie place, Tebow, which is a character I'm not sure I've ever mentioned before, probably because he doesn't really do much. He tells them to drink this extra large love smoothie on the house. But of course, the cup is $36, and both Tebow and Sam demand that Freddie pay up. When he rightfully stands up for himself and states the ridiculousness of paying for a thing he never asked for, Sam says, "I can't believe you're being so cheap." Because apparently not paying $36 for a smoothie they didn't ask for is being cheap. cheap. Extra large popcorn at the movie theater doesn't even cost that much. But of course, dumber than that, it's that Freddie retorts back, I can't believe you're being so pushy. Really, Freddie? It's only her main character trait that she has made no indication of changing since you two started dating. It's almost like you guys are a horrible couple that has no reason to be together. I mean, as much as I hate Sam in these episodes, Freddie does deserve flack for knowingly entering and continuing a relationship with her. He knows how she is. How is this a surprise to him? Sam also says, this is not how boyfriends behave. Yikes. And this, once again, is where the comedy of the show interferes with the story. Because the show presented such a preposterous, exaggerated situation where the smoothie guy just pulls this overpriced smoothie out of his butt, Freddie is obviously in the right here. Now, if the show had presented a situation where they were ordering like a single smoothie to share, and Freddie offered to pay, but then got upset when Sam added a few mix-ins to the smoothie for a few bucks more, that's a much more mild situation where both sides have room to argue and be right. Freddie's being stingy, but it could also be argued that Sam is taking advantage of him being generous. Boom, there you go, a reasonable argument between the two of them. But no, the show always has to go with the most exaggerated, extreme comedy, which ordinarily is fine, but here just works to the detriment of the story arc. They go back to Carly's place so they can determine who is correct, claiming that Carly is fair and balanced. But of course, she's not fair and balanced in this episode. Most of the time, Freddie is just flat out right. She just seems fair because she makes you both apologize all the time. And when did Carly become the queen of healthy relationships anyway? Her solution here is that it's nice to buy smoothies for your girl every once in a while, but nice girls don't demand things from guys. So Sam needs to be less demanding, which obviously I agree with, and Freddie needs to be less stingy, but like, when was Freddie stingy? Not wanting to frivolously drop $36 does not make him stingy. The way this is presented is just baffling. Later, they bust into Carly's room at almost 3 in the morning, arguing about whose mom is freakier, which is finally an actual argument that is interesting and two-sided, but at the same time, it's like, why do you need to come to an agreement about this? It's not like it affects your relationship in any way. If you're getting this worked up about something that just like literally has no bearing on the relationship, it's time to end the relationship. They cut ahead in time, and according to Carly, Sam and Freddie have been bothering her about 10 times a day with this stuff. Why are they still together if they're arguing 10 times a day about different things? Holy mother of pearl, just end it! Anyway, Spencer mentions that he juiced some corn and wonders why no one has tried to do it before. Carly's response is, maybe nobody's ever thought to juice corn because most people have brains that function normally. Holy cow, Carly's savagery here is amazing. No joke, this is legitimately funny. Plus, she does immediately apologize right after it, so it definitely doesn't come off as too harsh. Spencer asks Carly why she's still helping them if they're making her miserable, and she says that she wants them to be happy. But like, come on, Carly, can you really not see how unhealthy this is? Sam and Freddie at least have the excuse of being dumb teenagers too in love to see the bigger picture, but to any outside observer, this is clearly a horrible, toxic relationship, and you're feeding into it, clearly making them more unhappy in the long run. The next scene is up at the iCarly studio, and Sam and Freddie are getting along for once. They invite Carly to an Italian restaurant named PIEGUYRULZ. Yes, they seriously named that restaurant very close to a certain body part. Gibby even says, I love peonies. Anyway, Carly asks why they want her on their date, and Sam says that every time they're together for more than an hour, they fight. Really? What else can I say? How else can I describe how awful this relationship is and how the show has given no actual reason that they should stay together? The most we've gotten is that Sam thinks Freddie is cute. Like, that's literally it, and that's definitely not enough to stay in this kind of horrible relationship. Then Freddie says that Carly always comes up with smart ways for them to compromise, because apparently always taking the exact middle ground on everything is somehow great advice and something only Carly knows how to do. Wasn't Freddie supposed to be like somewhat intelligent on this show? Then, because we can't go one scene without them fighting, Freddie and Sam have a fight while live on iCarly. And it's really stupid too, just about the order of the segments of all things. Yep, The relationship is so bad, it's affecting their work. And also, for how in love with Seddie the iCarly audience is, shouldn't Sam and Freddie fighting on air be like this big controversy? I mean, this episode could have been about this big fallout from iCarly fans after Freddie and Sam fight on air and imply that they don't like each other anymore. That would actually be something interesting that involves the web show and doesn't devolve the character into 5-year-old morons that can't settle their own stupid arguments that they shouldn't even be having in the first place. But nah, who cares about that stupid old web show? Okay, so the three of them go out on this date. Carly has to sit by herself far away from Seddie because according to them, they're on a date. Yeah, on top of everything else in this episode, they really treat Carly like trash here. Sam being this rude, I kind of understand, but they really turned Freddie into an inconsiderate jerk. Like, there isn't even a hint that Sam or Freddie understands what they've done to Carly, because again, it has to be just so exaggerated for comedy purposes. Sam and Freddie fight about Sam putting too much cheese on her lasagne, and Carly's solution here is that it's not nice to judge someone on how much cheese they eat, but then she also tells Sam that it's a stupid amount of cheese. Wow, brilliant compromise here, Carly. It's not really her fault though. She's sick of their arguing by this point in the episode. I'm more making fun of the fact that she just told both of them what they wanted to hear, and yet somehow they think it's a good compromise. By the way, while Sam and Freddie are fighting, they don't notice the fact that a creepy guy, who looks like he is at least in his 20s, sits down at Carly's table and creepily hits on her. Because that's really what this episode needs. Possible pedophilia at Peenies. Basically, Carly flips out and just starts openly mocking Sam and Freddie for being so insufferable and childish. She tells them to gouge each other's eyes out with a fork, which is thus far the only reasonable advice she's given in this episode. And she follows it up by telling them that she isn't their 24/7 couples counselor, and if they need her to be, they should just break up, and god dang, that is cathartic to hear. But that's where the story ends. Seriously. No response from Sam or Freddie. They just kinda sit there. And after that, all we get is a scene of Carly and Spencer hanging out on his indoor lawn. I mean, at least they didn't end this episode with a kiss. But though it's satisfying to see Sam and Freddie finally get called out, there is still no actual closure here. We have no idea where the characters stand, and it's obnoxious that they do this every stinking episode in the arc. Oh, and if you think the events of this episode are going to be satisfyingly concluded in the next one, no. On a more positive note, there was also a cute story in the episode about Gibby adopting an adorable little puppy to co-parent with Carly. It's nice and innocent. At first it seems like Gibby is trying to get with Carly romantically just because Seddie is paired up, but thankfully it just stays as a silly story about how they'll be spending more time together, so Gibby somehow thinks they need a dog to bond over. Also, the Spencer gets a lawn story is fun as well. It really isn't much of a story, just a bunch of vignettes of random silliness with Spencer hanging out on it and doing weird things like shucking corn. It especially works well with how they blend it with the other storylines in the episode, how anytime there's a scene taking place in the living room, Spencer also gets to throw his little bit in. So it's a nice way to weave his stuff naturally into the episode instead of making it just feel completely unconnected. But yeah, I've said all I can say about how just brain-numbingly stupid and frustrating this episode is. Sam and Freddie have next to zero chemistry, and because they cannot function as a couple for more than 30 seconds at a time in this episode, there's literally no reason to root for them. It's just 23 minutes of thinking to yourself, wow, they should break up. This is unhealthy. Sam was unreasonable, Freddie took a level in stupid, and Carly's solutions made no freaking sense. Add in the creepy dude hitting on Carly for seemingly no reason, and you have a disaster of epic proportions. Speaking of natural disasters, looks like that cake has finally been weathered away by some sort of lava tsunami. Boy, I sure hope that cake doesn't pop back up, but bigger and scarier, in a parallel of how the Seddie arc is pretty much just all cliffhangers and unsatisfying conclusions that seemingly get worse every episode. Oh no, the thing that I just said I hope wouldn't happen is happening. Who could have seen this coming? Seriously though, I don't think this cake is actually gonna die. I might just have to take this matter into my own hands. But first I'll have to grow some hands, of course. Well, see you in the next part. PIEGUYRULZ, out.